So I randomly saw an old video on YouTube about hydrogen powered cars, and since I really like investing and the video was like 2 to 3 years old, it sent me down the rabbit hole of hydrogen stocks, and here is what I found out. As we all know, we'll run out of fossil fuels in this century. Supposedly oil can last up to 50 years, natural gas up to 53 years, and coal up to 114 years. So one way or another we'll have to switch to renewable sources. While electric vehicles are probably going to replace gasoline powered cars, hydrogen has a lot of potential use in fossil fuel powered industries that pure electricity simply can't handle. First of all, energy related emissions from the manufacturing of iron and steel account for 6.1% of global greenhouse gas emissions. In 2021, global crude steel production reached 1951 million tons, with China alone producing almost twice as much steel as the other 9 top 10 steel producing nations combined. Steel is currently mainly produced using two methods: electric arc furnace and blast furnace basic oxygen furnace. Both methods traditionally use fossil fuels, and in 2019 contributed to 3.6 gigatons of carbon dioxide emissions. But the new way of making so-called green steel uses green hydrogen, which is produced by using clean electricity from renewable sources to electrolyze water, which is a process of splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen. With this process, fossil fuels can be removed from steel making entirely, and there are already some companies investing in pilot and large-scale facilities for green steel production. To meet the global demand for steel, green hydrogen capacity will need to increase significantly to meet the potential demand for producing green hydrogen. If we wanted to make 1.9 billion tons of steel, we would require 97.5 million tons of green hydrogen, and right now we produce around 87 million tons of hydrogen, and only 1 to 5% of it is green hydrogen. Then we have transportation. For shorter journeys, batteries are already ideal, but because hydrogen is the element with the highest energy density, meaning that 1 kilogram of hydrogen replaces 10 liters of petrol or diesel, it could be useful when we need a longer range, like intercity trains, trucking, marine industries like fishing and cargo ships, where boats are routinely out for hours or even days. For example, French project Energy Observer is launching a design of a multi-purpose cargo ship fueled by liquid hydrogen. Multi-purpose cargo ships constitute nearly 37% of the world fleet, often old and polluting design, resulting in maritime transport accounting for 3% of CO2 emissions annually on a global scale. Trucks are mostly responsible for the transportation of freight by weight, resulting in huge amounts of greenhouse gas emissions. The Oak Ridge National Laboratory claimed in 2021 that hydrogen fuel cell vehicles were the most suitable option for the trucking industry. This is because the driving range and refueling time are nearly comparable to gasoline-powered trucks, thereby lowering the barrier to develop fueling infrastructure. Additionally, hydrogen fuel cells have more energy per unit mass than a lithium battery. Thus, a truck can have more energy without significantly increasing the weight, an essential consideration for long-haul trucks. Planes are another form of transport that currently runs on fossil fuels, and we can't replace their fuel with batteries because they're simply too heavy to fly. When we look at the fundamentals of what it would require to take an aircraft up in the air of significant size over significant distance, commercially relevant, we get to a hydrogen fuel cell being the best approach from the cost of fuel, efficiency of utilization of the fuel, and the mitigation of the climate effects. But at this point, hydrogen fuel cells still don't have the capacity to power a common 100 passenger jet. But at the same time, Airbus is planning to retrofit an A380 Super Jumbo with a hydrogen burning engine by 2035. Another potential industry is space exploration, as liquid hydrogen in combination with an oxidizer, such as liquid oxygen, yields the highest specific efficiency in relation to the amount of propellant consumed of any known rocket propellant. Consequently, liquid hydrogen is today the signature fuel of the American space program, and is used by other countries in the business of launching satellites. Hydrogen is also used in the chemical industry, mostly in ammonia production, which is mainly used as a fertilizer, but it's also a key component of various household cleaning products under the form of ammonium hydroxide. So in total, the demand for hydrogen is expected to grow to 500 to 680 million metric tons by 2050. Right now we produce 87 million metric tons and only 1 to 5% of hydrogen is green hydrogen. So we can see there is a lot of demand but not enough of supply. From 2020 to 2021, the hydrogen production market was valued at $130 billion and is estimated to grow up to 9.2% per year through 2030. But in full transparency, the problem with green hydrogen production right now are production costs, which are higher than traditional methods that use fossil fuels and result in CO2 emissions. They are also dependent on the levelized cost of renewable energy sources and will vary by region. And as we can see from some of the examples, electricity cost makes up the majority of levelized cost of hydrogen. But with falling renewable energy prices, falling cost of electrolyzers, and increased efficiency due to technology improvements, green hydrogen is expected to become cheaper and cheaper. In 2019, the cost of renewable hydrogen was ranging between $2.5 to $4.5 per kilogram. And according to Bloomberg New Energy Finance, if these costs continue to fall, green hydrogen could be produced for 70 cents to $1.60 per kilogram in most parts of the world by 2050, a price competitive with natural gas. Now let's check some stocks that produce green hydrogen, make fuel cell systems, and make electrolyzers. The first stock is Linde with a ticker symbol of LIN. The company has been manufacturing industrial gases, gas processing, and storage solutions since 1879 and is today widely recognized as one of the world's foremost producers of grey hydrogen, which is created from natural gas without capturing greenhouse gases, and this type of hydrogen is also the most common form of hydrogen production. They also produce blue hydrogen, which is produced from natural gas, but unlike grey hydrogen, this type of production traps and stores carbon dioxide. And they are known for green hydrogen, covering every step in the hydrogen value chain. Its hydrogen capabilities have so far primarily focused on grey and blue hydrogen, but since 2012 its green hydrogen production has been rapidly ramping up, with plans to triple the amount of clean hydrogen it produces by 2028. The company is currently building a 24 megawatt electrolyzer at its green hydrogen plant in Germany, which is expected to produce 3.2 thousand metric tons of green hydrogen annually. It's also working on a 24 megawatt green hydrogen plant in Norway, another 200 megawatt plant in Germany, which it plans to scale up to a 2 gigawatt plant by 2030, and the company employs around 62,000 people. Looking at the stock price history, we can see the price rising very consistently, and right now the stock price is around its all-time highs. It has a market cap of around $170 billion and a dividend yield of 1.36%. It has a profit margin of 11% and a return on equity of 9%, and its free cash flow has been growing steadily over the past 4 years. The only thing I don't like about this stock is that its trailing PE ratio is at 45 and the stock price is moving around its all-time highs, which makes this stock in my opinion a bit expensive but still a safe pick. The next stock is Shell with a stock ticker of SHEL. The company is known as an oil company, but that could change. The company was an early customer for green hydrogen startup ITM Power, buying its electrolyzer units for use in the green hydrogen production facility, which began operations in July of 2021, producing approximately 1.3 thousand tons of hydrogen annually, and it plans to scale it up from 10 megawatts to 100 megawatts. It also signed a contract to build a 200 megawatts electrolysis plant at the port of Rotterdam, with the aim of supplying ships with green hydrogen fuel, and the company says it wants to become a net zero emissions energy firm by 2050. It employs around 82,000 people, and looking at the stock price history we can see that it's been quite stagnant. It has a market cap of around $200 billion and a dividend yield of 3.84%. It has a profit margin of 11% and a return on equity of 24%, but its free cash flow hasn't really increased by that much in the past 4 years. Otherwise, it has a trailing PE ratio of around 5, which is lower than its sector's average. And the last stock among hydrogen producing companies is Air Products and Chemicals, with a stock ticker of APD. The company has been producing essential gases for over 80 years and is the world's largest supplier of merchant hydrogen. It has originally produced grey hydrogen, but it has recently been expanding into blue and green hydrogen. The company deals with every step of hydrogen production, from manufacture to transport to endpoint distribution. It's also building Saudi Arabia's 2 gigawatts green hydrogen plant at no OM, which intends to produce 650 tons of green hydrogen per day from 2026. The company employs around 20,000 people and its stock price history is very similar to Linde's. It has a market cap of around $68 billion and a dividend yield of 2.09%. It has a profit margin of 17% and a return on equity of 16%. Its free cash flow also hasn't really been increasing, and besides that its PE ratio is quite high at around 30, which also makes it quite expensive. Now let's check one stock that is quite known among hydrogen stocks and previously focused only on fuel cell systems, but is now also expanding into hydrogen production and electrolyzers. Of course, I'm talking about Plug Power, with a stock ticker of PLUG. I honestly thought this was a new startup, but to my surprise the company was founded in 1997 and the stock was even trading during the dot-com bubble. So it's still a bit weird that its profit margin is negative 107% and its return on equity negative 15%, and its free cash flow has only been decreasing, so it doesn't look good. But there is one potential case for this company. They've been buying blue hydrogen on the open market, which is made from natural gas, and since natural gas prices are elevated, blue hydrogen is also expensive. But now that its own production of green hydrogen comes online beginning this quarter, its costs will plunge and its profit margins will increase. But since it's been more than 2 decades, I wonder how realistic their plan actually is. But if they turn a profit, the potential return should reflect the risk. And finally, let's check a stock of a company that focuses on electrolyzers. Nel ASA, with a stock ticker of NEL.OL. It's a Norwegian company founded in 1927 when they installed the first small electrolyzer, and since then it has also expanded into hydrogen fueling stations. It's a smaller company that employs 567 people and has a market cap of around $2.3 billion. The company is also not yet profitable, with a profit margin of negative 97% and a return on equity of negative 12%. Besides that, its free cash flow has been falling in the past 4 years, which is why I think this stock is just like Plug Power, a bit riskier. But before you decide to do anything, do your own due diligence, as this is not a financial advice and is for entertainment purposes only. I'll also leave all the links to my sources in the description if you want to check them out for yourself. It took me a long time to do all the research to make this video, so if you enjoyed it, it would mean a ton to me if you press that like button and subscribe. And if you want to see more of my content, click on the video that just popped up, and thanks for watching.